How you going, Krosswerdz 180? We are on location on the final day of UPROCK Park Jam. It is going off. We had a massive b-boy battle. We had the guest judges from Malaysia. We had our guest TeOp from Germany ripping up the aerosols. And you are still tuned in to TeOp and the Prophet on Krosswerdz 180. You're on 94.9 Rima FM. And we are really blessed right now to have the man that we've been jamming out a fair bit in the last few shows, JustMe, with TeOp and the Prophet.
You heard it right here, and we're going to hear from the man himself. Can you just give us a snapshot of your Australian experience so far before we get into the details of your career?
It's been beautiful. Just soaking in all the love from all the Aussies out here, man. It's been good times. Just, you know, hip hop and good fellowship and just really enjoying my time here. Haven't been able to see the sights yet, but you know, looking forward to do that in the next couple of days.
All right, excellent. We'll get the obligatory Aussie question out of the way. Vegemite, have you touched it, tasted it? Have you ingested it? Did you vomit it up?
I haven't yet, but somebody gave me like a taster sample or whatever serving of it. So it's at the pad, so I'll try it later.
Man. Well, first of all, how did you get into hip-hop? You're from the States, obviously a very strong hip-hop culture, but you're from a place in the last 10 years or so, which is not particularly known for its hip-hop, Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's known for other stuff, and you all know what that is.
Oh, the derby or the chicken.
or the bourbon.
Oh, yeah, very true.
Originally from West Coast. I was born in San Diego. Raised in Orange County in San Diego. So fell in love with b-boying when I was real young, like, 7, 8 years old. My parents bought me a cardboard fold out with the blue and yellow vortex on it, and I was like the hit of the party. So I started popping because that was a big thing on the West Coast. So that was my first love. And then when I was about 12, I started tagging and writing a little bit. And I decided I wanted to DJ. So I told my dad I wanted to DJ, and he had done college radio when he was in college, so he saw it as an opportunity to start a business and have some male bonding. So we would DJ weddings and stuff together, but the rest of the time I'd be in my room trying to blend and scratch, and we'd do some house parties and school dances and stuff. So and then after doing that for about a year or two, I just realized that I sucked at at writing and DJing. So, my last bastion of hope in hip hop was to start rhyming. So I started MCing, and that kind of stuck. So I was bound and determined to make it stick. Excellent. So yeah. So that's how I got into hip hop, and I guess what happened from there was my parents got divorced when I was a freshman in high school. Same year, my best friend, who I was in a rap group with, passed away, and so a little bit of a shock to my system, and when my parents got divorced, me and my dad moved, and my new school that I went to, I got introduced to Sojourn from Future Shock, and he started bringing me around to his friends and stuff, and I was like, these guys are onto something.
Yeah.
So that's kind of changed my life.
So did you grow up with a Christ connection in your life from a young age, and how did that fit with your meeting with Sojourn and onwards from there?
My parents were Christians, sort of in name only almost. I went to church a little bit growing up, youth group and stuff, but like I went to church to mac on girls and stuff, you know what I mean? Like that's what I went to church for. So
that other reason to go.
yeah, so when my parents got divorced and stuff, I started going to church with my dad, who had like rededicated himself, and it's still like, at least I was starting to gain some understanding of it, but it still like wasn't really my thing. I think that when I saw the Future Shot guys and the other guys that they introduced me to, they were like me. They loved hip hop. They were regular guys, but they seemed to have it together a little more. And whatever it was that they had, like I wanted that. And so that's kind of what led to my, accepting Christ and deciding to like really take it serious and follow him.
Excellent.
It's a beautiful day, I write rhyme after rhyme, let my cuticles sway. Cross the page with a blank face, hoping I pray for an opportunity of awkward lyric display. Often hearing today that we're all in decay, but I'm seeing creativity in every way. Heavily laid on tracks, pressed, wax and sprayed. How the can onto canvas, how can this be? Why you wondering why idiots dissing your joint? Many wishing that the mission was sufficient and point. Outlaws, man, pause that quick. Like negativity is ill, you are not that sick. Besides, I think the problems are obvious, man. So to relate solutions will profit us, and I intend to do it with sentences fluid. Vengeance is ruined, so bite that and chew it, y'all. When the day turns into night and the light prevails, it's called the twilight. When the night turns back to day, the darkness all just fades away. When the day turns into night and the light prevails, it's called the twilight. When the night turns back to day, the darkness all just fades away. I got a dream and a breath, I figure it's alright if I got nothing left. Bereft the flesh and become quite deft. It relying on the eye in the sky and trying the best I can. Blessed I am, the trust I am, and crush the competition in the dust I can. Must I span the globe with the crown and the robe for you to see the magic behind the wardrobe? More so, I keep cloaked in humility, cause let's face it, most places ain't top billing me. Still not feeling me, you at a touch. Just me, stop spilling means that I'm at a guts. My cup, it runneth over like drunks with rum and soda. And I'ma claim Jesus, believe it, it's never over. My stance is not circa, my stanzas, I flirt them over beats, then work them the streets so fiends jerk them off the shelf. When the day turns into night and the light prevails, it's called the twilight. When the night turns back to day, the darkness all just fades away. When the day turns into night and the light prevails, it's called the twilight. When the night turns back to day, the darkness all just fades away. He's a beautiful day, DEI, we see why immediate praise is given when our so-called living is interrupted, driven and then corrupted, imminent when destruction is part of restoration and reconciliation. And that's why the good physician got a lot of patience. Before the twilight is when the sun shines bright, and before your twilight is your prime. I write my life and spit to a live mic, cause I shine my light when I rhyme. I could never hide it by keeping the silence. A house divided erupts in violence, right kids? Of course it's true. As sure as the sun sets, he rises too. Disguised as who? I seen it with my eyes closed. Jesus of Nazareth, creator of the cosmos, y'all know. When the day turns into night and the light prevails, it's called the twilight. When the night turns back to day, the darkness all just fades away. When the day turns into night and the light prevails, it's called the twilight. When the night turns back to day, the darkness all just fades away.
something that I really love and really noticed about a lot of the dudes from Elect and Sphere of Hip Hop in particular is like you guys have quite a good skill of balancing, you know, the hip hop culture and just being a dope lyricist with also the type of person that's quite open about your faith. And I think a lot of times people draw a line and say it's either you say Jesus 40,000 times in your song and you're a Christian artist, or you're not a Christian artist type thing. And you guys have such a great way of being respectable lyricists and being open about your faith.
I don't really like to be beaten over the head with, you know, doctrine and stuff. Like I myself study, you know, the word a lot. I read a lot of, you know, theology books and history of the church and all that kind of stuff. So I figured that's something I do on my own time, and I enjoy that, but I don't like to listen to like music that has that in it, you know what I mean? So I wanted to make music that I would want to listen to. So, and to me, like, I like metaphors and similes and, you know, ill concepts and alliteration and flows, you know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff I like, you know, punchlines. I like all that stuff. So that's what I try and do, you know what I mean? Try and be creative when I write. And I don't feel like I'd be much of a complete artist if I just focused on all the time, like, I'm gonna give you my testimony all the time, you know what I mean? It comes across in who I am and what I do, so I don't have to constantly be, you know, putting it out there. Like, that would get really boring to me. So
I first heard you rhyme on a track. I think the track is called Change, and it's like you guys are rhyming over a common sense break. Why do things always seem to change?
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. It's a cool track.
Yeah.
And is there a Syntax Records connection with that track, or do you have a Syntax record? Because that was a San Diego thing.
Yeah.
What's the story there?
Well, that track didn't have any sort of syntax. That was a track off the first Scribbling Idiots mixtape, Idiomatic. But my connection to syntax is obviously those guys are from San Diego too, and so we were like around each other, you know, a lot when I was coming up, when I was younger, and they started doing the Night Owls. Well, first they did the Fashion Expo record, which was like a compilation of a bunch of talented Christian artists. A lot of people like were introduced to, you know, a lot of different artists. It had Red Cloud, and it had Red Cloud and Manchild and Sev Static and Plato and Journey Big, and, you know, it was a cool compilation. And Soul Seekers did a track on that, and then we were on like the next, you know, I think I've been on every Night Owls, like the first 4 Night Owls compilations I was on. So they're just, you know, they've been cool cats. And actually, it's funny because Soul Seekers was about to sign with Syntax Records, and did sign with Syntax Records just as I left California to go to Kentucky. So there is a Soul Seekers record that came out on Syntax, but it was after I had left the group.
Yeah. Man. But Scribbling Idiots have done a lot of releases, mixtapes and stuff like that. Particularly the Have Nots album was quite a big album worldwide. I mean, it was easily available here in Australia, I know. Hey, there's the praying mantis on your leg.
What happened? I just gave him the flick.
Yeah, just collapsed.
And I guess, you know, you've come, are you a solo artist now from the Scribbling Idiots experience? What's the future of SI?
Well, I think I've been since I left Soul Seekers, I've been a solo artist. But when I got to Kentucky, Scribbling Idiots sort of came together when I hooked up with Kaz Meta, and at first it was just gonna be me and him, and then it was like, oh, let's include Ruffian, and then it was like, well, let's include all these dope guys that we know that aren't already like affiliated with the crew, and then that sort of grew into something really big, and we've stuck at it. So yeah, there's SI definitely still is in existence. When we did the Have Nots record, we couldn't really like try and put everyone in the crew all over the record because there's a lot of guys in the crew and they like live all over the world. So we figured when we were touring, when we were performing on a regular basis, it was like 5 guys that were always able to be at the shows. So those 5 guys, me, Kaz Meta, Theory Has It, Wonder Brown, and Mouth Warren, were like the core of the crew. And then we made sure everyone else got their spot to rock on the album too. And after we did that album, we didn't want people to just think that those 5 guys were Scribbling Idiots. We wanted everyone to know like, all these guys are Scribbling Idiots. So everyone's been doing their own things for a while now, because it's hard, like, after the Have Nots came out and stuff, like Theory Has It moved to the West Coast, and then like Wonder Brown went on tour like constantly for like 3 years and stuff like that. So we were all kind of doing our own things, and I think that's been good for the crew because we've been very productive and we all like rep, you know what I mean? But good news is that we're working on a new Scribbling Idiots album right now, and we also have a compilation that's coming out on Elect called Invitation Only, and it's an Elect compilation, but there's a Scribbling Idiots member on every song on the record. So
it's a pseudo Scribbling Idiots undercover closet album.
Yes.
I live my life on the run.
Everybody has a story.
Outside of my zone.
A butt now
I hadn't
story.
been the only one.
Check it out.
The prodigal.
The tongue has the power of life and death. May I utter existence with every breath. Heck, I ain't mad when I'm spitting at fools, but you can see the steam when the temperature cools. Mention the tool and arsenal, but only need one, and that's the love shown to the prodigal son. Back when I was young, racking product for fun. Probably some polo or Nautica done. I was the one chosen to drive to the weed spot, swerving through the urban warfare, there to be taught to love no man, woman, or child. Only lust for adrenaline rush and running wild. How do I explain my adolescence? Sex, drugs, and basketball about says it. Foul me, I drill your grill like a dentist. Lorenz Tate, acting like Old Dog and Menace.
I live my life on the run. Outside of my zone. I wasn't the only one. They call the streets my home. I live my life on the run. Outside of my zone. I haven't been the only one. The prodigal.
First girl I ever slept with knocked up. My best friend dead and the other one locked up. Mom and pop marriage chalked up. Chillin' with cholos to say you get socked up. Dressing for impression like we up in a contest, and every fine girl is a sexual conquest. Forget about a movie, I'm trying to palm breast. Hopefully later, that'll lead to some bomb sex. But what's next? I mean, there's gotta be more than getting money, getting high, treating women like whores. I'm drinking a Kool-Aid, drinking his cores. We're all behind bars or we're chilling at bars, and I'm all self-absorbed, kinda like everyone else on board. I had nothing left, so I knelt to floor like it's a last resort. Can you help me, Lord?
I live my life on the run. Outside of my zone. I wasn't the only one. They call the streets my home. I live my life on the run. the prodigal.
And now it's back to the quintessence. And a brother need a calculator to count blessings. I shout lessons like your pastor wanna do. And rappers can't hang like they lack a proper noose. Catch me on the web like Dr. Octopus, cause I refuse to sell ass like a prostitute. I never got the loot, but evil got the boot. And then I got an inquiry from an awkward dude like, just me, why you go so hard? I'm like, same reason the wind blows so hard. God made me hide, I surrender to him. And use the pad and pen to injure your men. The drums and the sample tell me when to begin. And glorify him till the end of the sin. I believe Yahweh created women and men for love, and that's what I intend to defend.
I live my life on the run, outside of my zone. I wasn't the only one. They call the streets my home. I live my life on the run, outside of my zone. I haven't been the only one. The prodigal.
Well, we've been so blessed to have you here at the UPROCK conference, and Krosswerdz has brought you out for that. And that's been, what, the last 3 days? Today's the final day, the culmination of that in the B-Boy Jam. And we'd like you to just comment on the Australian Christian hip-hop experience and community as you see it. We've heard a lot of good words from yourself and Brother E this weekend, and Praying Mantis and the whole international crew have come. If you could share that with us on our show, we'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. You know, I've been doing this for 18 years, and I wouldn't be doing it, I wouldn't be who I am as an artist if it wasn't for the guys that came ahead of me, you know, in Tunnel Rats sort of really took in Future Shock in particular, took me under their wing and taught me everything they knew, and I really appreciate that, and we always, from that time to the present, we always dreamed that, you know, other than just, you know, because when we were doing it way back when I was a teenager and it was Soul Seekers and Future Shock, like doing everything together, we had a Bible study, and we would rock our shows together and work on albums together and stuff, but we were like family, like just, you know, just that small handful of guys. But we always dreamed that there could be like this larger community of believers that could come together. Unfortunately, what happened a lot of times is when we came together with other believers outside of like Tunnel Rats, there was always some sort of issue, you know what I mean? Because we couldn't agree on everything, there would be some issue. And what I love is that I think God was always working on something, and, you know, who would have thunk that way out here on the other side of the planet that he was putting together something that would reflect what we dream about, you know. And Krosswerdz is just a beautiful collection of guys that want to serve Christ, and, you know, I really appreciate that, and I know that I think it's an example for the rest of the world, and I hope that it just continues to grow.
Very cool, very cool. Wow, flattery.
How was your highlight of UPROCK? What was your highlight?
Man, well, I mean, I think my personal highlight is being able to perform, you know, like being able to perform for everyone out here. That was, you know, my highlight. But I mean, gosh, there's been so many great moments, just, you know, getting to meet you guys and talk to you and learn about you guys. I mean, everything we do, life in general, is about relationships. So when it boils down to it, you know, this is a great time, and I'm really enjoying my time here, but it's gonna be, you know, the fact that I can hit you guys up on Facebook later and we can just shoot the breeze, you know what I mean, and encourage each other. So I think that's the best part about it all, is really like building friendships, you know what I mean.
When you first, I guess, touched bases with the Krosswerdz dudes in Flavorfest, what was your first impression when you heard Australian accents on hip-hop tracks?
Yeah, I'll be honest, like, I can't say I was, like, totally fond of it. You know, I'm not. It's hard for Americans to listen to any other accent. Like, it's hard for Americans who, you know, I'll tell, I'm kind of putting someone out there a little bit, but, you know, I'm really good friends with this group called Cunning Linguists.
Yeah.
Big, you know, they're doing it big, and they're from the South, you know what I mean? They're from Kentucky and Georgia, and I was always telling Syntax the Terrific, like, dude, you need to check these guys out. They're really dope, you know what I mean? And their faith comes across in their music, but, you know, I mean, they're not like Christian rap, but they're, you know, it comes across in their music, and their lyrics are real dope, and their beats are real dope, and, you know, check it out. And then he went and got the record, and he calls me up, and he's like, dude, I didn't know there was gonna be like this thick Southern drawl in there, and he like had such a hard time getting past that, you know. And I think it's the same thing when we hear someone with a, you know, an Aussie accent or a British accent, or, you know, French, German, like whatever. So, but it's really grown on me, you know what I mean? So, and, you know, it's just like anything. For people who don't listen to hip hop, you'll play a track for them and they'll be like, I can't understand it. And you're like, what are you talking about? It's like talking over a beat. What do you mean you don't understand it? You know, but, you know, it just takes some getting used to.
Yeah, and it's good that you're tolerant and that you're sort of coming across the line like that, because obviously in heaven you'll be speaking this way, right. and you know, it'll just, you're either in or you're out in that respect. So, you know, we like to bring you a little closer in.
Sheep and the goats, man.
That's it.
Oi.
There you go.
Actually, that's a good one. Can you actually give us an Aussie accent? Braille tried last year. Failed.
Perhaps a little Aussie free.
An Aussie freestyle.
No, I can't. Good on you. Not at all, man. I can't.
That was pretty good at that. I can't.
He covered a lot of Australians' complete vocabulary there. 16-year-old male vocabulary. So thank you so much for coming on the Krosswerdz 180 show. We appreciate that. We look forward to your next releases, and also the future, you know, when we come to Kentucky.
Yes.
When you can show us where that is. Is it true? Like, is there a first Kentucky Fried Chicken somewhere in Kentucky?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll hit it up.
All right, definitely. I don't eat chicken myself, but I have some skin. That's where the flavor is. Anyway.
Are you vegetarian?
Kinda. Yeah.
How are you kind of vegetarian?
Until the KFC comes out.
Lost in the time that slowly cries. Come on, ride. Come on, ride.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the strength to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Hard times, ain't a watch with 8 rocks in it. No atheist in a room with no clocks in it, or a foxhole with no box in it. No talking shop in it, they controlling glocks in it. Is it hard time, need more paid, or struggling to survive in the stone age? No way you gonna hear me complain about the traffic, I'm switching 4 lanes. If it's relative to where a fella live, then I'm hella gifted, go and tell a friend. I'm excelling in, needing more Excedrin. That's what it takes to become a veteran. I'll be better than I was before the hurt The injury, the misery, the penalty, the work. The energy propelling me to go and tell the earth. The same that separated the dark and light at first. The penalty for blasphemy is actually for worse. Imagine drinking ashes and sand to quench your thirst. What was once perceived as a gift could be a curse. But with that achieved, it is true for vice versa. So for what it's worth, I'm here to help you cope. My brother just told me that he in need of hope. God made good and evil, tragedy and dope. God made both tragedy and dope.